2018. And I do know that I'm in the shadow again today. Failure is simply the opportunity to begin again, this time more intelligently, by Henry Ford. How was my day yesterday? I went into a co-dreaming session in the beginning of the day, and I took a look at the discovery phase of the project, taking a look at how does a person actually find the project, what is involved in it, what are my strategies for it. And I found a very nice way of how I want to deal with it in the physical world. And I'm still trying to also work on the online part of the discovery journey. Then later on, I had a discussion with Corinna, which I progressed into a disconnect and then a reconnect, where it was hard for me to really work together with her because I wanted to go into a creative process. And I noticed that the idea of getting into productivity and doing mode and structured way of creating exciting ideas was not the way that I wanted to approach it. I wanted to first get into my excitement to then have some excited ideas. So we had a clash of strategy, and that wasn't synced, and that was how I also caused a bit of frustration yesterday for myself, and also seeing it on her side. Then apart from working on the co-game plan, I then helped Corinna install and also show her a few things when it comes to Adobe Premiere, how the software works for chroma screening and stuff like that. Then I had my main meal, and then I actually had my appointment with a person who wanted to help me with the tech backend side of things with my data model, and he didn't show up, and then I was really sad that he didn't. And I learned by asking what happened, I learned that he actually wrote me an email telling me that that this time is not really good for him, and if another time is possible. And I totally did not see that email. So later on, I was really glad to learn that it's not that he didn't care, but it's really that I didn't check my mail, which is very different. And I'm glad that I initially also had the empathy or not judging hard when I noticed that he didn't come, but instead noticing that I really don't know what's actually going on. So then I worked on the onboarding, and then Jacob came over and we talked about college, and I told him about the vision, and he tried to also find the weak spots. And as part of me telling him that I'm the bottleneck in the project, he also tried to go about it in a solution-oriented way and asked me like what I could do about it. And I showed him the roles page, which led to me then also expressing thoughts like, well, I could just post this roles page on Facebook, which he then said, well, let's do it. And I was really noticing my tensions because the roles page is not self-explanatory, and somehow I didn't know what's actually the tension. But then later on, I thought, well, as an experiment, I can just post it to like a few people to see what actually happens, to learn from the experience, also learn from what my resistance is. And as I did so, then Corinna entered the room and she asked what you're doing, and I told her that I'm posting the roles page to someone, and she was having a huge tension, saying, you know, that's creating more work, and who's going to explain all of this to them? And she's right about that to a big degree. So I took these two sides, like this idea of exploring what actually happens and her resistance that I heard. So for me, the insight, the key takeaway here is that I want to explain these things in video format so that I don't have to explain the same thing to one person over and over. And instead, I want to create an FAQ style thing where other people can onboard themselves when it comes to how to join the project and how to be a part of it and how all of this works. And yeah, so that was my key takeaway here. And then later on, I worked together with Corinna on the CoFunnel, which is the Coalition internal CRM. And I closed up the day by doing a church walk, what I call a church walk, together with Corinna, meaning that walking around the church and recapping how was my day, And then Corinna watched the series, gave me a bit of a massage while I was listening to my hero MP3, and that was my day yesterday. What am I going to focus on for today? My main focus for today is the Coalition game plan, and this is what I want to make a lot of progress for today. And I have a few small side outcomes that I want to get done as well, but this is like my main focus point here, and especially like a split off here is I want to rework the onboarding process. So going back from what do I want game plan to implementing making the shift towards this game plan, to also first think about things and get an idea of how I want them to be, and then asking what is the next version, what can I do to actually make this happen right now, how can I prototype this, and these are my things for today. I wish you a legendary day. As always, if you have some feedback, I'd love to hear it. And I will swivel over my laptop so you can actually still see my face now. So I wish you a legendary day. If you have some feedback, I'd love to hear it. And as always, I'm looking forward to seeing you soon. And I think the best is yet to come. And if you're still watching, I really, really like this idea of how I'm converting, like in the outward facing, this is for me a personal development club, and inward facing, I'm really creating a very